Alrighty, so we're starting off with a 2023 Silverado work truck, WT. So it looks pretty cool and stuff like that. It's gray, it's got some wheels and blah blah blah. But what I'm trying to do here on this whole thing is I'm trying to put a panel here. I don't have an electrical outlet in the back of this truck. I do got the Chevy rug bed. And I'm also trying to put maybe an electrical outlet here somewhere, not sure. Maybe over there. I'm not sure about that yet, where that's gonna go, depending on how hard it is to get this wire. I plan on making a hole here, dropping the line down, going through, and then I'm gonna try to put this amp, about the 500 watt Bestek, I guess is how it's pronounced, and I'm gonna put underneath the seat, my passenger seat. Now my Wile E. Coyote idea was to took a piece of plywood and made a tray. Now what I plan on doing is putting this tray underneath there. It does fit. This part hangs on the bar, and this part here is gonna slip right on the rail, so it's just suspended there. I made a hole here to add a zip tie just to hold it to the rail, but it's not gonna move. I didn't want the inverter laying on the ground, laying on the carpet because of the air duct and whatnot. The air duct's over there, so I figure if I put this guy here, I'm gonna do this one hand, it's gonna be fun. But whatever, it fits underneath there. I'll position it better in a second, but I'm trying to hang the inverter here, or maybe here on this side, so I can reach it from the back and turn it on if I have to. The reason why I'm putting it inside the cab and not outside, because I plan on getting a topper. It's actually being made now, is because I want to hear the noise. In the event that I leave it on, when I turn the truck off, you're going to hear the inverter making a noise, and then you're going to know to turn it off. That's just my thought. Up here, since it's the work truck, it doesn't really have, it's got a cigarette lighter. Here I plan on putting an outlet. I bought the factory replacement outlet. I'm not sure how I'm going to wire it up, but this is going to run back underneath here somehow or another, back underneath here, so I can turn this outlet, the one in the back of the truck, on at the same time. Now here we're going to, I don't know if I'm going to do that right just this minute, but I'm going to put 2 USB ports here. I like the way those look. I've been looking online, I really can't find anything that I like. I don't want to put this round cigarette lighter, I just don't think it's going to match. That's just me. Might not even deal with that on this whole project here, but ultimately I want to put this, regardless where it goes, I'm going to run a wire probably underneath back up to the inverter. So this is going to be on when the inverter's on. It's a 500 watt. I don't know why I would need more than that. I guess I should have mentioned that I have the dual power station. So this is the one that runs off 20 volt batteries. I used it. It can run everything I need. so I don't need the truck to really do too much as long as this thing can charge. I tested this with my little watt meter and it takes 286 watts or something like that when it's charging. So I'm trying to get that maybe off maybe a little 300 watt inverter I can plug into here, or I'll just power it up off the truck when I need to. But this only takes, let's say 300 watts to charge, and I can get that from the outlet or here. So I don't need more than that. And this thing does 3,600 watts at peak. All right, so here we're in the back of the bed. Just took the rug bed down. And ultimately, I think this thing is gonna go there. This thing came all wired up. It's pretty cool. And I think I'm gonna put it somewhere like that. Pop this guy off here. I'll figure I'll run something up there to make sure there's no wires or nothing back here. There shouldn't be, but I'll double check it. Look like a nice gauge metal, so probably gonna need a sawzall or something like that. Alrighty, so quite a bit of time has passed since the other video, but here we go. So this is my 2023, and sorry that I'm rambling and all over the place. I have no idea I'd make a video. But I do want to show a couple of things on my truck. It's a 2023 work truck. I did install the hooks and I color coded them to the rest of the car, which seems to be pretty much a total waste of time because these things barely stick out. I think I bought the wrong ones, or I'm sure I did. But nonetheless, it doesn't look horrible. If it bothers me, I'm probably going to get bigger ones or something else. And since last time, I've also added the A.R.E. topper. I think it's called the Z2 or something like that, Z1, Z2. And it looks pretty good. No real complaints about that, except for the thing is kind of... So I was able to finish up all my electrical work. That I was trying to do on this. So I got lights set up. I'll do a video in the dark. I mean, they show enough. So here it is at night. I think it shows plenty of light. I mean, I put that box there so I can read the label on it. If I can read that, I guess it's good enough. And let me see if I can get this to work. My neighbors are going to look at me looking crazy. But this also works with the app. But since I'm using the phone, I'll do this real quick. If I'm being honest, I'm a nice man. It works pretty good. The music and whatnot. Ultimately, my goal was to be able to get the lights flashing red in the event of an emergency or something like that. Everything else is still good. I guess that's enough light for now. Once again, sorry about making a horrible video, but going back to the lights real quick, they have a little microphone that I got in there, which I'll get back to later. But for, let's just say, music, any noise it makes, it reacts. Now, these were rope lightings, BFTs or something like that. So what I wound up doing was, because the A.R.E top came with these screws, and I'll put a picture before, I couldn't find anything that I really liked. I'm not even sure if I like these too much, but they're up. I put them up there and I came around the back. And I'll touch that off a little bit later. Now I have enough room here. If I wanted to put another 3-foot strip in here, maybe add a little more light. And I also have enough room underneath here if I want to add another strip of lights. But ultimately, I'm getting back to the panel. So this controls this. And obviously I would probably have it on white, and then when you turn it on, this here controls these guys. So you've got a voltage meter, a USB, a lighter socket, everything works. And this one came in a different set, which I just popped it in here. It's like a 3.0 or whatever. But all these work lovely. So the lighting came back down here. Let me get back. You can see a little bit of wiring there. I hit it pretty good. And it does show a little bit here. And this is getting the rope lighting that I put underneath there. I'll still probably tweak that and mess with that a little bit. But anyway, so this came back here, where I connected 2 different lightings, 2 different 16-foot lighting strips. So this is one, the one that comes along the bottom, starts off right over here. And then the second one starts somewhere, starts and finishes there. And it just seems to work. These were the clips. I just made the hole a little bit bigger and literally forced and threaded them right on the screw. And I was also able to add, this is actually an inlet, not an outlet, but same crap. So in order to get that powered up, now to get this guy powered up, I have to turn on my inverter. Initially I said I wanted to put the inverter underneath the seat, and it turned out just like I wanted it to. So if I want to, I'm going to power this up. A couple of mistakes I made. These things are way too big. They're touching each other, and the line I used, this guy here, is heavy duty. You can see underneath the braiding that it's yellow. That comes underneath the car. I'll show you that in a second. Alrighty, so this is underneath the car. Here is the bus bar. The top red one is going back to the battery. One of the red ones is going to the light switch, and the other red one is going to the USB port. The ground, I stapled there, wrapped it around, and I found a nice spot right there on the frame. And the wiring, this is the butt end of the inlet, which I just attached 10 extension cord, ran it right back up to the inverter, and this is taped up. I mean, it's not going to get wet or anything like that, and it's outdoor extension cord, but this is how this looks, and it comes with this cover. It comes with a couple of nuts on there. But you get the gist of it. And this is right on the back side of the panel. That's the rear tail light there. So real quick about this panel. I should have mentioned it in the very beginning. I watched a video from the guy on Real Truck on YouTube. I copied word for word what he did. He has a good video on there with instructions and directions, and that's the way you should go. Every single thing about there was explained. Another thing I forgot to mention on this inlet. So this was a plug. The back end of this is just a plug. I took an extension cord and plugged it into there, and on the inverter side of it, I just put an end on it. So it's just an extension cord from the inverter. I came up around here and I plugged it into here. So I put one end on the inverter side of it, which is plugged in, and the other end is here. That's all that really is. These lights were a USB. So what I did, I got that converter up there. This is a DC 5 volt to 12 volt converter. So I tied in the USB to that, or it has USBs on there. Give me a second. I didn't want to take this all apart, but I guess for the sake of explanation. So this little converter up top comes off of these wires, and it gives you a USB. That's all I did to plug my lighting in there. And from there it's powered back. And the lighting comes with this little, I don't want to take this thing all off. Comes with a little microphone, sensor. You can see all the wiring's pretty neat back there. But this panel, the guy from Real Truck on YouTube, look it up. He did the exact same panel. I copied everything. My only thing I would do a little different than he says is that he drilled, and so did I. I drilled the pilot hole first. And if this thing is so close to the body panel that I touched the outside and dimpled it. So if I could do this all over, I would just cut this thing out with a Dremel and not use a drill bit to start off with. Other than that, every single thing that guy says is right on. This video was instructional. That's the way to go. Alright, so going back to this. So now I just turned on the inverter, and I should be able to tie this in here. So this is a female. This was a male end, so I had to put a female in on this. So now this is powered up. And it works just fine. So I made my own kind of contraption. I bought this from Amazon, this line. And this did have a male end originally. I just cut it off and replaced it with a female end. But same difference, so it's all working. And once again, this thing's only pulling 300 watts. And if I wanted to, I could always plug another thing in here and charge another battery or something like that. But that's one outlet I installed, and the second one was, now one little problem is that this thing is super quiet, and for me I needed it to make a little more noise just in case I left it. Let's do a quick side note. I also got this A.R.E, I guess it's called, something like that, Pedro Odro or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's very cool. I got all my electrical cord, bungees, tow rope, tire inflator, battery, jump box, ratchets, everything I need. I got it under here, and that was really my goal. Except for the inverter, the DeWalt inverter, I want to keep my truck like this, so I don't want to see anything in there other than I don't want to see anything. So going back here, I turned the inverter on there, and initially this thing comes with a blank panel like I showed in the other video, and now it's working. So what I wound up doing with this is an actual OEM part, the right part that goes in here, and it's only on because the inverter's on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the inverter off real quick. Well, one quick thing, if you do something like this, don't forget that you also have a meter, so I know when the battery's going to be drained. I can keep track, so I can keep an eye on it, make sure that I don't kill my own battery. Lights ain't horrible. I couldn't come up with a better idea. If somebody got some better idea, anything like that, let me know. I'm not sure I really like it too much. Now the light is off, but this is the factory part. I'm gonna put a picture of how to wire this thing up. It's got 4 pins. You basically need 2 of them to work. It took me quite a while to figure out how to do it, so I'm gonna put a couple pictures up there of which pins do what. But anyway, so to do this, I popped this guy off. There's a couple videos around. And on the work truck, I know the other ones have carpet, but on the work truck, they have this foamy kind of covering on there. So it was easy. Once I popped this guy off, I did buy one of those little set of tools, I don't know, $7 or something, like plastic trim tools. I took this guy off, and well, there's 2 pieces here. The bottom one, and I think the bottom one's ultimately the only one I needed to take off, but I did take this guy off too. And I put a flashlight in there, and I could see light coming out from over here, so it was easy. All I did was I took an extension cord, I did some wiring, put the extension cord all the way down here, I ran it underneath this, whatever this thing is, this matting, and I came up here. You can see all the wiring. I put them in braid. I didn't want to go with the other loom. The braid sheathing, I think it's called, something like that. So I brought it all under here. And I tied it in there. This guy here was super easy to put up here. Now the other one, I came and on the Chevy truck, there is an actual, I don't want to take this apart, but this was actually, you can see it back there. There was already a hole. So this guy here was force fitted and worked. I'm gonna put a couple pictures up of the hole and everything like that, the wiring. But this guy came from here. All I did was I ran it up the wheel well, down, and right along the frame here, there's another electrical line coming through. All I did was zip tie it to that, so that was easy enough to find the way here. And I don't know, it's getting a little dark, so it's a little hard to tell. But I did have to take this guy off. Sorry about the rambling. I did have to take this guy off, and this guy off. They all just pop out. There's a lot of videos on it. Just take your time with it. It's easy enough. But anyway, so down there in the center there, right smack dead, right around there somewhere, is a freeze plug, plastic freeze plug. I just drilled that out. I didn't really want to do that, but I was getting impatient at the time and just did that. You really can't even see the wires. I mean, I hit them right on top of this top rail. You can't see it, it won't focus in. I put them on top of this rail, you can't even see them. They're nice and secured up there. But I used a stranded 6-gauge, pure oxygen free wire. Those are these two guys. Both of those are 6-gauge. So with those, I came down the same freeze plug. I got 3 wires coming in. I got the one from the back outlet, and this one here, the positive and neutral, or the black and red wire here, come up here to first day on the job, can't even open my own. Those guys came up through. Let me see if I can see it. See if I can focus in. All I did was, it's a little hard to tell, but there's an aluminum wire, a set of wires or something that comes up here. All I did was zip tie to that. I ran the positive up here underneath. Once again, I wrapped it in the braided sheathing. I really didn't want to do the loom. I think it looked a little more like the factory, or just for me, I want to do something a little different. But that's just me. So in that, this is the line from the power panel in the back, from the socket panel. And then this is the one that's going to the inverter. So I got a 50 amp because it is a 500 watt. So I put a 50 amp fuse up, breaker up here. This isn't the same one that I started out with. The other ones were gray and blue or something like that, and they were just massive. They were too big for what I was doing. I think they were like meant for a 1-gauge wire or something like that. They were nice, but they were just way too big for what I was doing. But anyway, getting back to this. So I ran both my wires up here, all the way down on the frame rail, up, following another electrical line, a couple zip ties. It was really easy, to protect it well. So I came back up here. Now I'm here, and I just cut a couple leads here into this. Let me see. And you can see that this here, there's a little notch for these wires, so they sit in there perfect. and I tied them to there. So I think it came out pretty good. From what I can see is everything is secured, nothing's moving. How I did this. All I did was I put a couple of pieces of right angle, and underneath it I just drilled I did drill a hole. You can see the bolt there somehow. And I pinched them together. A couple little bolts. This thing is absolutely, it ain't going nowhere. Nothing here is moving. That there's solid. Everything there should be fine. But in the event that I need to, all you have to do is, if you want to work on it, whatever, breaker pops, they're just that easy. And I put them up here. I thought seemed to be a good spot for them. And then the ground, I wound up putting the ground that's coming from the inverter right to the ground here. And that was easy enough to zip tie to. It was somewhere in there on a nice spot, and moving, I secured. So turned out all right. Nothing. Put it back on. I wanted to keep this thing off the ground, and I did. You can still see the air duct. Probably not going to focus in, but it's back there. This came out nice and good. This is a Max Spiders something matte. Pretty nice color. Seen that. Inverter's on, and I tested it a bunch of different times. Works fine. Got one of those little dividers. Amazon again. I did have to sand it to fit in a little bit, but not a big deal because it worked out great. Let's just say you can put your sunglasses or something subcompact there, if you know what I mean. I did the Chevy mats. A lot of people were complaining about the color and that they kind of scratch up, and I agree. I didn't at first, but I do agree the color's off. Should be a little darker, but I still wouldn't put anything else. I still think they're nice enough. Real quick, the rug bed, the Chevy logo one. If I can tell you one thing, be careful with the Velcro. If you're going to do it, it's not hard to do. Take your time. It's easy. Get another set of tape with it, because they don't give you enough tape. If you want to do it really nice, where everything is tucked in perfect, get another set of tape. Don't even rack your brain of trying to figure it out. Get another set of tape so you can put a full piece here if you're that. If it bothers you, if it doesn't. But if you can get one thing from this, it's a little hard to see. Make sure you keep the Velcro and all Velcro away from this thing, because once it grabs it, you're not going to realize it, and when you yank it, it pulls up. Other than that, it got its pros and cons, but I think it looks good. And just for what I needed to, came out, to me, it came out pretty nice. The lights, I forgot the name, BFT or something like that. I'll figure it out. I'll write it in the description if I figure out how to do that. You could also use your app. You don't really need the remote, but I can't do the app and take the video. And at least I don't know how. Again, the voltage meter works. The USBs, this is going to be really good. Cigarette lighter if you want to add an inverter or something else. This isn't one of the heavy duty ones. I haven't got around to finding a good one. But nonetheless. So So any questions or comments or anything like that, I'm only doing this because initially I couldn't, we lost power for about a week during the hurricanes, and I could not make a cup of coffee off my truck. Drove me nuts, so I wound up putting this inverter. I put this outlet in and the back one and bought the inverter ultimately for a cup of coffee. But whatever, it's all done. I don't have, the inverter came out really good there. Those plugs, I think they're touching a little tiny bit, but they're suspended up there. If I need to put a bigger inverter, I can. All I gotta do is unscrew it. If I want to put 1,000 watt or something like that, I don't have to, but if I need to, I can. I'm probably gonna get around to putting this outlet in, but I've seen how you can get the same original one that looks like that one back here. Do enough research on it. There's a lot of videos on there. There's actually a wire, you just tap in it here, run underneath, and this, whatever this thing is, this flooring, it's not even stuck down. So if you're gonna run a wire, just take you a couple minutes to put it underneath. Yeah, but that was about it.